Manchester United striker coach Benni McCarthy has been offered to Kaizer Chiefs. That's interesting. We're also going to talk about another striker coach who might end up being at Kaizer Chiefs, and that is Collins Mbesuma. Hello and welcome to Coast Nation Fan TV. I am Pelo, I am your host, and this is our fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs. Amakusi Football Club. So, talking on the This is Football Africa podcast, Benni McCarthy's agent Rob Moore brought up the idea of Benni McCarthy and Pitso Msimang being the only two South African coaches who can actually come and do things at Kaizer Chiefs in a proper way and actually bring the club back to their glory. And yes, I know the first thing that people are going to say is, Benni McCarthy is not going to leave such a big job coaching Manchester United because it's in England and all that stuff. One, there's no place like home. But two, there's also the reason that right now things at Manchester United, they are not looking that great because there are a lot of leaks coming in from the team. That so-and-so said this. Players fighting with the manager. Jadon Sancho hasn't played for a few months now because he had a falling off with the coach. Ronaldo left, and there's been a lot of talks over the years about that environment in the locker room of Manchester United being toxic. So you might never know what is actually happening behind the scenes. And Rob Moore, the agent of Benni McCarthy, actually bringing this up might just be more than him actually just saying, hey, look, Benni wants the job, because he wouldn't just go on a podcast and say, hey, Benni actually wants this job, but he did bring it up, and now we're talking about it. And I found it interesting because he brought up some very interesting points when it comes to why Benni would be a good coach for Kaizer Chiefs, but also he brought up some cons, and we're going to go through the things that he said. And the first thing is that with regards to Benni McCarthy, his personality will be very good for the Kaizer Chiefs players that we have. And you look at his personality and as Benni McCarthy as a very vocal, a very strong coach. And we have talked about this so many times that if you are going to coach Kaizer Chiefs, you can't be a person who the players will look at and think, lo. Yabona nje Onsegi, he looks like a good father who can be good to his sons, who can sit down with them and talk to them and motivate them. But when it comes to players just casually walking on the ground, have you seen Tsegi shouting at a player like that? No, you don't see him do that. He will call them on the side and shame, talk to them. And then when he does shout, players don't even take him serious. But to Benni, he doesn't tolerate nonsense. Any time, any point in time, there's no nonsense that is going to be taken, because also, remember, with the players that Kaizer Chiefs has, they have so much big egos because they're on top of the mountain. They're playing for Kaizer Chiefs. But Benni McCarthy won the Champions League with Blackburn Rovers. With Porto, and then he also played for Blackburn Rovers and was scoring goals for fun in the Premier League. So because there's no one who's going to look at Benni and think, oh, who are you? Who are you? Benni, hey, you're not going to say that. So there's always going to be that the Benni, it's easy for the players to respect him because of the things that he has achieved, not just domestically, but also internationally as well. So that's one of the things that is also good. And the agent says that's exactly what would make him feel like a glove in coaching Kaizer Chiefs. And number two, which I think I didn't watch Benni game by game when he was coaching Amazulu, but he's talking about his ability to call a game during a game situation. And that refers to obviously realizing, like the nonsense we just watched. I always back Bruce when it comes to his coaching. But today, Bafana were playing in a stadium that was artificial and it wasn't good enough. And yet we continued trying to play the ball on the floor, which was clearly, what did I just say, on the floor? On the ground. We played the ball on the ground, yet the ball was getting stuck all the time, especially in the first half. And you need a coach who's going to realize that this is not working. Let's change the strategy during the game. And I just made an example with Bruce, but we've seen that problem with Kaizer Chiefs a lot. A lot of times, the system doesn't get changed, even if it's not working. The players, the personnel who are playing, they don't get changed, even though you see that these players are playing mad football or nonsensical football. But with players or coaches like Abo Penny, who are not trying to nurse players' feelings and will actually back that, they will not care. You can say, good, okay, the problem we have is a personal problem. Let me take out 2 players right now. I know it's the 40th minute, but I don't care. We are going to lose if you continue playing like this. Change 2 players, you bring in players who are going to give you something in the game. And then it comes second half, you can tweak things in the game. And Vele with some coaches, if I look at Abo Pep, you make a mistake, he knows that another mistake that you make is going to cost the team. So it's going to hook you up off. Ayikho lento ukuthi Pep bayancenga. Pep Guardiola akancenga umdlali, and I think that thing, as much as there will be players who will fight with him at some point, like Abo João Cancelo leaving, but at the end of the day, he knows that what he thinks about is the benefits of the team, and then he will nurse your feelings later. And that's because of the personality and the type of person that he is. Because he wants a system that's going to be like this. And if you are not adhering to the system, then you are going to be kicked out and you will not be playing. So on basis of those 2 things, I obviously do get that. I just don't understand. I just don't know because of the experience, because he hasn't coached a team and won like 2-3 things to a point where I can say, okay, he's a proven winner, because that's one of the things that we are always looking for right now when it comes to coaches. Like, has he won something? Can he do it with Chiefs? Because all the time personality might fit, but it's also different when it comes to Kaizer Chiefs, because as much as he might be strong towards the players and all of that stuff, the moment Chiefs appoints him, you and I will always be questioning him. He hasn't won anything. Why are they bringing him to Chiefs? He has experience with United. No, but he wasn't coaching, you see. So there's always going to be doubts with regards to that. And the other con, obviously, that Rob Moore himself brought it up is the fact that 75% of you are not subscribed. So please do subscribe and also like the video to help me reach more people like you. But going back to the video, subscribe so that you can get more videos like this. As I've had 2 videos reach 100,000 in the past 2 weeks, and people are not subscribing. It hurts my feelings. Anyways, it's fine. Please subscribe. Just do it. All right. So the other con is the fact that Benny and even Pizzo, he said they have a low tolerance for nonsense. If things are not done properly, which is actually the case with Kaizer Chiefs, things are not done properly, there's going to be a falling off quicker than you can say the word falling off. That's a good one. So you take him to Kaizer Chiefs and you try to tell him what to do. He's not going to take that. In fact, that was one of the reasons why he left Amazulu, because they were starting to do things the way that they wanted to do them and not in a way that Benny wanted to do them. And Amazulu were cooking, if we're being honest. Amazulu were starting to cook under Benny, and then obviously these politics, these background management politics came on, and then he ended up leaving the club. And when they asked him what he would do, Rob Moore, that is about if he was called by Kaizer Chiefs talking about, hey, we want Benny to come and coach Chiefs, and then was like, yeah, I would need to call Benny and all of that stuff. Obviously wasn't going to reveal that, oh yeah, we've applied. He's not going to say that. He's not. Now, let's talk about another one, Collins Mesuma, because Brandon Truter has recently left Sekhukhune. He wasn't happy there, and the club was obviously not happy. I don't understand why he wasn't happy, because they gave him players, like better players than he has ever had in any other club. But apparently he wasn't happy and then ended up leaving. And now Collins Mesuma is also likely to be on the chopping block because of the fact that Sekhukhune are not scoring goals. They are not scoring goals this season. It's just so weird. Like, goals are just dry, and because of that, they are now questioning whether they should have Collins Mesuma, or is he just not good enough. We know that he's good enough with scoring goals. He did it in his career, especially at Kaizer Chiefs. We saw how good he can be. Question though is, if he was to get fired at Sekhukhune, despite the fact that there is a new coach and maybe it's the system of Brandon Truter that wasn't getting goals, if Sekhukhune continues with the struggle of not scoring goals and he was to be free, and Kaizer Chiefs have an option, actually now 3 people, Max Bambonyane offered to be a striker coach, Sean Bartlett is now free, who was coaching Cape Town Spurs as a coach, but now as a striker coach at Kaizer Chiefs, he did do well. And now if Mbesuma was to be available, would Chiefs take him? I know people are going to say, Panpilo, you're contradicting yourself. You just said it to us that Sekhukhune are struggling, right? But let me be the devil's advocate here. Could it be possible that in a team, in a club where the culture he understands and he's played and performed well, could it be possible that he could come to Kaizer Chiefs and turn his fortunes? Obviously, I am not a big fan of taking someone who has struggled somewhere else and hope that they will excel at Kaizer Chiefs, because if you are going to excel at Kaizer Chiefs, you have to be exceptional where you are. And I don't think it would make any sense for him to come and be a striker coach at Kaizer Chiefs if he's still struggling even right now. I mean, at this point, I would even go for Sean Bartlett. I know Cape Town Spurs has struggled, but as a coach, not well in the senior in the Premier Division, that is, not in the other division. But as the coach, as a striker coach at Kaizer Chiefs, he did do well. And I know people will say, but we're playing Makita Spegane football when he was excelling. But even right now, our strikers, Abo Ranga, they are tall, but they are missing headers. Last year, Abo Caleb, tall, but missing headers. I remember the header by Silent last year's derby. We are missing a lot of these headers, which were scoring when we were playing Makita Spegane. So I would rather have a coach who will make sure that our crosses are guaranteed to go in rather than to not have a striker coach at all. But obviously, that's a story for another day. Kaizer Chiefs do need a striker coach. It might not be Mbesuma, it might not be Maximum Punyane, it might not be Bartlett. Kaizer Chiefs do need a striker coach because we ourselves are also having a very difficult time when it comes to scoring goals. Who do you think would be Kaizer Chiefs' striker coach? Maximum Punyane, Mbesuma, or Sean Bartlett? Who would fit? And do you also think Benni McCarthy would fit as a Kaizer Chiefs coach? Let me know down on the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, equals Alpelumoy.